Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I want to talk about Bigby Presents Glory of the Giants. I am worried about this book. So I've been watching the content coming out from Hasbro about this book, like the pre-game, the pre-game marketing. They're like, this thing's coming. Get ready, right? Get excited. And I'm worried because one of the things is like it feels very much like they're trying to normalize they're trying to normalize giants and and I really, yeah, this is interesting, and be like, giants are people too, and they're not. Like, giants are giants, man. They're like, they're really different. They are like fundamentally different than they really are tremendously different than medium-sized creatures, right? And I think previously giants have been they've been a creature in the monster manual, right? And I kind of understand why they want to make them more accessible and make them less monstrous, but the reality is I don't think that's a good idea, and the reason why is economy. So the reality is they were saying, hey, if you're a giant, you're highly competitive, right? And you might want to make the greatest forge, the biggest forge. And I was like, any of these creatures, right? If they try to make a great forge, or if they try to be, have the biggest forge, the amount of resources they're going to take from any medium-sized creature communities anywhere near them is going to be infuriating to those medium-sized creatures, right? They just would take so many resources that any community living near them would want to eliminate them, right? Because they're just, the economy of it doesn't make sense, right? So this idea that, hey, there's some giants living up up in the mountains, like, that is going to come to war with a medium-sized, with any medium-sized humanoids very, very quickly, right? And I think previously, fire giant, hill giant, stone giant, right? You threw these guys in, and they were there for your people to take down, right? Whereas now, they cannot open up any type of an actual giant as a player character option, right? As a character option. It's not, you can't do it, right? Like, because they're so big and they hit so strong, they're not viable for player options, right? You cannot use them as a character. They have to remain NPCs, entities, right? So I'm worried. Now, I already, put in my order, right? And the reason why is I buy every D&D canon hardback. Like, that's my heartbeat, man. Like, that is the rhythm of my heartbeat, right? Is when the D&D canon hardbacks drop. I love every D&D, but even I love Journeys of the Radiant Citadels, right? Because it's part of Dungeons and Dragons history. It was a massive failure as a D&D canon hardback, but it was a noble failure, right? Like, they really wanted to put forward a more inclusive writer base, right? And they did. They accomplished that, right? The problem is they didn't allow that inclusive writer base to give any new species options, any new magic item options, and they didn't allow them to make any settings that weren't completely duplicative of Planescape, right? So, like, it failed from an execution perspective, but the goal was extremely noble, right? So I think, so I'm excited to see this book regardless, because and I'll tell you right now, I think we're robbing Hasbro buying any if you're getting a D&D canon hardback for $60, you should be paying $300 to $500. That's the real value, right? So I'm very excited to get the book, right? But I am very concerned that they're not thinking about the economics of this, and we are seeing a new dragon issue, right? Large-scale creatures are so dangerous that most dungeon masters do not want to put them on the board with player characters. And by humanizing giants, I think we're just making another dragon problem, right? And I have to say, Fizban has really not been super great, right? Like, you brought me a dragon book. I still can't fly on the back of a dragon. You bought me a dragon book. There isn't a single decent listing for a dragon horde in the whole book, right? And the one thing I really did like the gem dragons and that kind of thing. But this is gonna be it's gonna land tough. Here's my the one thing I am hopeful for. There have been books where I was not excited before I got them. Keys from the Golden Vault, I was like, this is not going to be great. That turned out to be a really strong book. I really liked it a lot. I thought it was fantastic, and I finally learned what these, what the menagerie books are. Like, hey, we're bringing in 15 authors, right? The reason why they do those books is they need to give the design team a break, and I think those books are much easier for the actual D&D design team, the people who make a full-time living making D&D. It gives them a break from the schedule, but we still get content, right? And so Keys from the Golden Vault was really fantastic for that, and the Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves crossover was absolutely amazing, and Concordant Express is probably one of the best adventures ever written for any Dungeons & Dragons campaign edition ever. It's phenomenal, right? And then Dragonlance Shadow of the Dragon Queen was a stunner. It was 3 times better than I thought it had any, I was shocked how high quality it was. So there's a possibility there'll be something in here that will really turn this around, right? But this is a design team book. This isn't 15 authors. This is people really getting in on it. The other thing that I had heard that is starting to become real true is, man, D&D is scooping up Paizo Pathfinder authors, right? So get this, Pathfinder is now a farm league for Dungeons & Dragons talent, right? So they cut their teeth on Pathfinder, they get all their mistakes out on Pathfinder, and then they come work for the real deal, right? And there are a lot of Paizo designers on Bigby, Glory of the Giants. I'm worried about this book. I really think it's a mistake to humanize giants, and this book really is like, hey, giants are just people too. By the way, I just saw that in Critical Role. Sam Riegel was, gods are people too. They just need our help. I'm like, no, gods are not people, man. You're 100% wrong about this. And it's the same thing here. Giants are not people. They are really different, right? And the amount of resources that if you humanize them, right? I worry about that because I think by humanizing them, smart players will see them as even more dangerous and start trying to find even more innovative and more deadly ways to manage them, which I don't know if that's what their intent was, but I think that's going to be what it is, because I just don't think the economy of dealing with these giants is wise. Every single word of that is my humble opinion. What's important is when I get to hear your humble opinion. What are your concerns for this book? Have you pre-ordered the way I have? I'm going to be getting the hardback, and I will be getting early access to the digital. What's your purchase journey on Bigby's Bigby Presents Glory of the Giants? I'd love to hear. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.